Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Kristen Gear. I am the Director of Operations for BNI Arizona, and each week I come to you providing a weekly education nugget called Wisdom Wednesday that counts as one chapter education unit for watching. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's edition. Super excited to have you all tuning in today. We are in June, and what does June start? June starts Leadership and Support Team Transition Time. I know, it may feel a little weird to start talking about transition now when transition doesn't officially take over until October 1st, but here's the reason why. And because it is a process. So on Monday, I sent out a link to all members so that way you could fill out your leadership and support team nominations. Now, please remember, guys, that these nominations are not votes. So the nominations, what they do is they provide feedback for the current leadership team so that way it helps them set up for success for this whole transition period. So what you want to do is in that link, you're going to nominate who you feel would be the best next president, vice president, and secretary treasurer for your chapter. You're also going to include a reason why you feel they would be amazing in that role. And then the last section, or the bottom section, is where you are going to personally put what roles that you want to support your chapter in. So that could be a current leadership role, and it could be any of the different support team roles. Now, again, we start now because there is a timeline. It is a tiered process when it comes to leadership and support team transition time. So in the email that I sent out with the link, it also has an attached document that has a step-by-step process of the full timeline for the leadership and support team transition, as well as detailed information about each of the leadership and support team roles with what they support the chapter in, and then what qualities really someone should possess to support in that role. Now, when you're nominating the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, the only people who are not eligible to put in those spots is the current leadership team. Unless someone on the current leadership team did not serve a full term, we do want to make sure that we have a clean sweep when it comes to the incoming leadership team. And the reasons for that, there's lots and lots of reasons for that. But one of the main reasons is leadership burnout. Right now, since we're only in June, the current leadership team is probably feeling pretty good or feeling like they are finally on the right path, finally hitting their stride when it comes to the role. But when it comes to that second year, it really does create a little bit of burnout with serving in a leadership team role for multiple years at a time. Now, when it comes to having different leaders rise up into those roles, that actually creates more strength for the chapter, creates more longevity, and we want to have new leaders be in those roles. Now, there's been a myth that's been going around, and I want to kind of squash the myth. And the myth being that only someone with BNI experience can serve in a leadership position. And that is false. Someone does not have to have BNI experience to serve in a leadership position. We have a lot of amazing new chapters that are starting up all around town where everyone is brand new and they are rocking it in the leadership and support team roles. So you don't have to have BNI experience to serve in the roles because we have amazing training and we have amazing resources that will help support them along the way. As long as they are willing and able to be in the position, they are passionate about supporting the chapter and taking the chapter to the next level, and are willing to learn, because that is one of the biggest things, is if you have a leader in that role and they're not willing to go through the training and do what is necessary to help support the chapter, then that's probably not going to be the best person in that role. Now, we also, when we look at different leaders, We do also look at the power of one, so make sure that you are keeping tabs on your own activity on the power of one. So if you personally want to support your chapter in a leadership position, look to see where you're at on the power of one. I will say that the current leadership team, if someone is at the bottom of the power of one when it comes to their current activity levels, if someone's in the gray, red or gray, the likelihood of them really being all in for that leadership team role may not be as impactful as someone who is a little bit higher as far as their participation on the power of one. So if you are interested in being in a leadership role, make sure that you are going full circle with your activity within BNI. So checking out your power of one, seeing where we can level yourself up so that way then you can be considered as part of that leadership team, because people follow leaders. And if the leadership team is at the bottom of the power of one, it could set a negative trend or a negative culture for the chapter moving forward. So we always want to make sure that our leaders are at the top. We're leading by example when it comes to all things BNI, with our positivity, with our activity, all the things. Now, the nominations. Please know that the nominations are not votes. They are not votes. So please don't start rallying your chapter members to nominate you for a certain position, because they are not votes. What we utilize those nominations for are, so one, we're going to use that information to interview for the different positions. So the current leadership team is going to take the results from those nominations. They're going to interview the members who have the most nominations. They're also going to interview those who have personally selected themselves, saying that they are interested in the role. They're also eligible to interview members who they've already been kind of talking about through the leadership team, who they feel would be a great fit for the leadership positions. So the nomination forms and all of that information really does come in handy when it comes to the efficiency of selecting all of the leadership and support team roles through this time of the year. So the nomination links, again, they were sent out on Monday. So if you didn't receive it, I'll include the link in the comments once I'm done. But make sure to click the link, spend about 5 minutes filling it all out, because the more members that we have filling that out, the easier it is for our current leadership teams. So once they've interviewed, so the current leadership team is going to interview to pick the next president. Then once the president is picked, then that new president joins the current leadership team to help select the vice president. Then that new vice president comes into the mix to help select the next secretary treasurer. So the current leadership team, they're not picking the entire team all at once. It is a tiered process, because we want to make sure that that new team is going to work really well together. So that's why we do it one at a time. And this is also why we start now as far as the time of year, because what we'll be doing is through this process, the leadership team, the new leadership team, according to the timeline, will be selected by the end of July. So we've got a month, a little over a month, so almost 2 months to kind of go through this initial process to select the leadership team. Then, once the whole leadership team is picked, the new leadership team and the current leadership team are going to work together to plan out all of the different support team roles. Now, it really is important to make sure the new VP selects their membership committee. Each of the leadership teams members, if you didn't know, help support different support team members. So the president supports the education team, the events team, the growth team, and the power team and social media. And the vice president oversees the membership committee and mentors. And secretary treasurer is the visitor host as well as the timer. So there's lots of different pieces to this, but really it is a team effort. It's a team effort to go through this whole selection process. So we want to make sure that it's done in a particular order. Now, chapters can move faster than the timeline, but chapters should not move slower than the timeline because we will have leadership and support team training at the end of August, early September. So that's why everything is kind of in a timeline the way it is. So then once everyone goes through the training at end of August, early September, they'll be able to shadow the current leadership team members and support team members before they take over on October 1st. So we want to make sure that everyone is as prepared as possible before that October 1st changeover, because then once October 1st comes around, then everything switches. But the more we can prepare the incoming team, instead of just saying, all right, it's your turn, and kind of pushing them along in their new roles, we want to make sure that they are set up for success along the way. So make sure current leadership teams, make sure to go through the timeline, and the nominations are going to be due on Monday the 22nd. So we've got about a week and a half to get all of the nominations in. I know that there are hundreds of nominations already submitted, so thank you to everyone who already took the time to submit your nomination. So please, 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 please make sure to click the link and submit your information, because your feedback matters, especially when it comes to this leadership and support team transition time. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the new incoming leader names and seeing who is wanting to step up their game for this next year and be in a leadership position. I will say, I absolutely love serving in the different leadership positions over the years. My favorite of all time is VP. So Vice President, you really do get to know all of the ins and outs, behind the scenes stuff, that and Membership Committee. But the VP is the head of the Membership Committee. So if you're someone who loves to kind of know all the ins and outs, I would highly recommend Vice President. But with Vice President Membership Committee, you have to make sure that you can keep secrets, because what happens in Membership Committee stays in Membership Committee, guys. So you want to make sure that you're able to keep that within that committee, because it is really, really important. So some other couple updates, guys. We do have the tail end of Member Extravaganza. So Member Extravaganza ended. However, membership committees, you guys still have until Friday to complete and process the vetting for any last applications to qualify towards Member Extravaganza. Because guess what, guys? Next Wednesday, in our Wisdom Wednesday, I'm going to be pulling the winners for the cash raffles and the grand prize winner to Monaco. So we've got a couple more days. I know that there's still pending applications. Thank you to all the membership committee members who are working fast and furious to get these applications decided upon, whether they're approved, not approved, whatever the decision is. We want to make sure that we have everything in by Friday. So we need approvals and payments by Friday to qualify towards Member Extravaganza. And then next Wednesday, I'm going to be pulling all the winners. So directors, if you could also help me out and check the pending statuses, so that way we can make sure we're wrapping up any last applications for that, because I want to make sure that we have as many people as possible who have taken the time to invite incredible professionals to our chapters around town to have their name in these amazing cash raffles. Because we've got the $250 cash raffle, the $500, the $1,000 cash raffle, and we've got names in all of them. And then all of the names are going to get put into that grand prize drawing for Monaco. So I'm really excited to see who the lucky winner is going to be that will join the BNI Arizona executive team in Monaco. All right. So let's make sure that we are wrapping up all of those last applications. And then just remember, guys, it's summertime. You've got vacations planned. Also plan your subs. So I'm going to remind you guys every single week, because it really is important to make sure that you are planning ahead and getting someone lined up, so that way you can have that visibility and credibility at your weekly event when you are not there. And it helps with the energy and everything at the chapter event. If you have a lot of people who are on vacation all at the same time and no one has a substitute, the event, the energy just drops significantly. So make sure that you are keeping that in mind, especially during the summertime with all the vacations. And if you have any questions, let me know. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's Wisdom Wednesday. Looking forward to seeing all your nominations coming through, all the last applications for Member Extravaganza, and I can't wait to come back next week on Wisdom Wednesday and pull all the lucky winners. All right, stay tuned, guys. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. And as always, go Log 1 Chapter Education for watching. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.